most of you watching this must be wondering that. Hello, all my VOD viewers. Welcome to a drama video. I have no, you know, I could easily avoid this. I could cut this drama out of my life. I'm starting this very much on purpose. This isn't something I need to address or something anyone really needed to know about, except for that I think the behavior that this Mark Brooks person exhibits is ruining. Well, personally, it's ruining my time at nerd conventions. And you know, this is gonna get very personal. This guy kind of attacked me in a personal way and then apologized about it like a coward, hence the name of this video. Mark Brooks starts smoke with me and then runs. Hello, Lux. This is it's a weird case where this person started drama. I told them explicitly, you shouldn't start drama with me. You are making a big mistake. And after kind of insisting that 3 or 4 times as they continued trying to start drama, only after I said, you have offended me and made a lifelong enemy, did this person apologize and run away. And so I think it's pretty funny. It's funny when somebody recognizes the danger they've incurred upon themselves only after they've already gone too far. You know, like you give a couple of warnings, kind of like, hey, maybe you should do a little research, maybe you should look into what you're getting yourself into. But like they're so heated that they're just being an argumentative mindset, and then when they finally do cool off enough to realize what they're doing, they're like, oh shit, I probably shouldn't have done this. But it's too late. I'm afraid it's too late, because if I let you run away, this behavior will continue to fuck up my life, my experience, particularly going to conventions. So as people start joining me live, hello, I'm gonna tell you what's going on with this situation. So there's this comic coverist. I'm struggling to hold his name in my head. Mark Brooks, what a generic name. Very hard for me to remember, but because there's so many other comic artists with similar generic names. Guys, get stage names, for Christ's sakes, or use internet handles. I don't know, maybe they think having their real name makes it seem more professional or something, but it's just really hard to remember you. So this Mark Brooks person, from what I understand, they are a comic book cover artist, as in all they draw is covers of comic books for Marvel and DC. So they have a professional industry job. This is an industry insider, a person with like 64,000 followers on Twitter, you know, a person who purports themselves to have a large following when they were arguing with me on Twitter. So definitely somebody who should really be considerate of the moves that they're making in their career, who they're talking to, what kind of energy they're putting out into the world before they go and start shit with random people that they've never heard of at all. Because this person lives in a reality where your clout controls how much influence you have over like what happens in reality. And I live in a world where I do whatever the fuck I want all the time, and I don't care about what anybody thinks at all. I am totally content to be a villain in the eyes of humanity, in the effort of getting what I want. I don't play by the rules that majority wins. You know, I've been counterculture since I was a small child. I will maintain that stance the rest of my life. Did I read any comics by Mike Oxlong? No. I don't know that person. I'm not a huge comic book reader. I am an anime and manga expert, which is why it is funny that I would end up with smoke with this comic coverist. I mean, there are certainly comic book artists and writers whose names I know. This guy's just not one of them. But you know, this Mark Brooks fellow, uh, from what I can gather, is basically just this violent fucking maniac who goes around projecting his violent tendencies onto other people and essentially blaming other people for the fact that he can't control his emotions, and thus using his sway as an industry insider to have other people evicted from conventions that he's attending because he's afraid he is going to start fights with them. So this person's inability to control their emotions is governing other people's ability to appear at conventions. And I can provide many examples, as I'm about to. Somebody might clip this later and make an edited version that includes all of the content that I'm going to describe, but you can find all this stuff in other compilation videos talking about this guy. His behavior is documented. I am just the latest person to be on the receiving end of this person's abuse. Their tendency towards abuse as a response to any form of negativity towards them. So, again, I've never heard of this person until now. The first context I know about them is my friend, Riley, Young Clippa, ASC Presents, fucking, Clippaverse Studios. We went to C2E2 last weekend, and the whole premise of us going to C2E2, this convention in Chicago, was that we were going to meet Ethan Van Sciver. Now, if you've never heard of Ethan Van Sciver, he is a much more famous comic book artist. He created a series called Cyberfrog. He's been doing all kinds of stuff, particularly lately he's been streaming like every fucking day. And, just kind of leading the movement of this independent comics collective called Comics Gate, loosely, because of the fact that they were riding on the coattails of Gamergate way back in like 2013 on basically campaigning against the woke intrusion into the medium that led to a bunch of guys losing their jobs. People like Ethan Van Sciver, who, essentially was replaced by a comic book industry that increasingly became led by women, young women who did not want all these old white dudes making comics anymore, and started orienting comic books more and more towards young women, LGBT audiences, etc. The audience that is competitively now dominated by manga fans. So, there's been a much heavier presence of manga in the sales of comic books in the United States because of the fact that comic books are trying to compete with them and losing because basically they're bringing in all this new talent, all these people who are not really involved in this very aged industry, and trying to have these people write stories for people that aren't the audience for comic books. It's really bizarre to me because it just seems like an obviously losing marketing strategy. Like, I don't know if they're thinking that they're gonna like raise a new generation of comic book fans, but these comic books don't sell because comic book fans are old. Like, the demographic is constantly aging, but like it's always been mostly young guys. Like, comic books have just always been a more male-dominated field in the U.S., and girls just are into other stuff. It's one of those things where there's an element of social feeding into it where, like, marketers know that comic books are more popular with boys, so they continue to make them for boys. But it's also like, they've been trying, obviously they want to have a for market appeal. Every single market, everything that's for sale wants to be for sale to everybody. But it just hasn't worked. It's been like 100 years of comic books being mostly popular with young boys. And so to me, as somebody who's only really viewing the comic book industry through like a kind of an outsider who has seen a lot of the meta context around what's going on in the industry. ASC Presents says Mark Brooks is not a boy. I don't care how many fetuses he has a hold of right now. I can't imagine he has any. I can't imagine he has a hold of one single penis at the moment. But yeah, this 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 guy, he represents to me the biggest problem that comes from like an industry that's based on ideology and on people trying to turn, like, basically turn what they think should be right into money, because it's just not really, like, if you're gonna try to do something right, you know, you gotta exit the whole capitalist system to do that. You can't just go and say we're gonna make comics more feminine and that's gonna change the world. It's like, no, you're still in an ad industry. Like, you're in an advertising based industry. You have to cater to your base or you're not making money. And when you base your industry around ideology, aside from the fact that it starts bleeding money, it also attracts people who are zealots, who want to use that ideology as a cudgel against people, because they are just they're just people with violent tendencies. They're just people who want to cause fights, create problems. They want to go out into the world and put out negativity, and they're looking for an excuse to do that. And having a team gives them a great excuse. And these people exist on every side of every conflict. They are the reason that these conflicts exist. And I hate how easy it is for them to win. And I do think that you can root out these individual elements. Like, there's a lot of people hate the call out culture and drama of the internet, but I think it's pretty essential. I mean, it's essential in the same way that the Me Too movement has been essential, in that it has rooted out these people who suck from these industries. Like, we got to talk about what is the problem. And the problem isn't a type of ideology. It's not a set of beliefs. It's a type of personality. It's a type of person who uses belief, who uses ideology as a weapon in order to get what they want, in order to get rid of their enemies. That's the type of person who I'm afraid of. And that's who I see this guy as, because of the behavior I've seen on display from him. Now, the earliest clip that I've seen of this guy's behavior, the oldest thing I've seen, now that I've done some research into him, is a conversation he has with Ethan Van Sciver where they're both on a stream. And bizarrely, this guy says, Matt Barr and Mark Brooks look like exactly the same guy. Their names are so similar, it's really hard for me to not accidentally say Matt Barr when I'm trying to talk about Mark Brooks. Guys, get stage names. Fucking A. This Mark Brooks guy, isn't that kind of point of Gamergate too? Look, I'm not pro Gamergate at all, so yeah, I agree. I think all of these, any organization that's couched in identity, I automatically have a problem with. And even the Comicsgate guys, I do too, but I also understand, I think everybody who is really creative, who's really running shit, we are all, and I'm saying we because I'm one of them, we are all grifters on some level. We're all trying to pedal to an ideology that will make us money. We just pick the one that is in our comfort zone because we already grew up with it, or it's already, but like, we understand that it's all the same shit. Like, culture, it all derives from the same points. Anybody who's done any research, and to be a good storyteller, you have to understand this shit. Like, to get to the level where you are, writing The Sandman or something, you have to understand world culture, from a broad perspective. And so someone like Neil Gaiman, like, when he is being very politically opinionated, he's doing it because he's playing to his base. It's not that he thinks that his side or whatever in the conflict is correct. It's that he thinks that there are certain things he can, like, certain other ideologies he can quell by attacking them, But, like, I do think everybody who's at the higher levels is kind of doing this more self-defensively, It's more like, hey, I feel threatened by the fact that these people are using an ideology against me, and so I'm going to empower an ideology that hates those people to stop them, and show them, give them a taste of their own medicine, essentially. And, I see this game I don't necessarily like it. I don't necessarily like all the people playing it, but I'm interested in it. I want to meet these kinds of people. You know, I want to meet the people who are in control of the culture, and I want to convince them that I'm cool and that the people who I represent are cool and that we don't need to be driven out of culture, that we are actually a part of culture, that we can help you all make money, we can help you all, you know, that's all we need. We just need to make money. That's all we're fucking trying to do. And the reason I like Ethan Van Sciver, I've watched a lot of his streams. You know, I had didn't really care about the dude at all until he became friends with my friends. You know, the fact that he's friends with Young Clippa and Mint Salad, who are basically my best friends, like, the fact that he befriended them made me interested in him. And watching his streams, he's made it very clear there is not a type of person that he will not work with if they can help him make money. That's all that's at the heart of this. It's an industry. We're not here to fucking blow each other about how right we all are about culture or whatever. Like, as far as I'm concerned, everyone who's not me is absolutely demented. Like, everyone who's doing things differently from how I'm doing, I don't get it. Why are you doing that? Why are you torturing yourself this way? You know, like, it's baffling to me that I'm the only person standing out here on Shit Creek ranting about this comic book man that I've never heard of until today. But, you know, that's just because I only have my life and my perspective. And I have to be able to stand up for that if I want to be able to exist in this world. And so I see these people who, again, this guy, he is in the industry. He's on what he sees as the correct team. He's very proud of being in the industry because to him that means he has the right opinions. He's accepted by the mainstream. He's allowed to exist in whatever space he wants without being challenged or threatened by outsiders because the mainstream gives him acceptance. Whereas the outsiders, those people are infiltrators and they're trying to fuck with us who are on the inside. That's the way he's looking at it. And so he's trying, anytime somebody comes in who's critical of him, he wants those people gone. And so in this stream where he's talking to Ethan Van Sciver, he says to EVS, I assume if I see you, if I'm within reach of you, then I have to beat your ass. He said those words. Ethan Van Sciver didn't say to him, we're going to get into a fight. This guy said, I assume if I see you, I have to fight you. Now that is him threatening to fight. Apropos of nothing as far as I can tell. So, to me, when I hear that Ethan Van Sciver was banned from C2E2, but this guy who threatened physical violence on Ethan Van Sciver was at C2E2 with a booth, I'm very confused. How did this happen? How did the violent psychopath get the booth and the guy who was threatened get kicked out of the convention? Now, I was told that the reason EVS didn't get to be at C2E2 had something to do with not even his own, but someone else's transphobic comments. From what I heard, it was a joke. I don't remember the joke. I remember laughing at the joke when I heard it. And if it's not clear, I'm a trans woman. I was going to this con to meet EVS. Look, maybe I would have hated his fucking guts. I don't know. I haven't fucking met the dude. I wanted to meet him. I am getting involved in the comic book industry. I have written a comic for Mint Salad, EVS's friend, to draw. You know, I'm trying to get my foot in the door of this thing, and I'm being prevented because the connection I was supposed to make, I, the trans woman, was supposed to make a connection at this convention that was prevented because the supposed trans allies got the guy I wanted to meet kicked out because they felt that if they saw him, they would have to get into an altercation with him. That doesn't make any fucking sense. That makes no fucking sense. So I don't understand how that was possible. We got to the convention. This guy was not at his booth when Riley approached it. And apparently the reason is that someone else earlier that day had approached him in a Comicsgate jacket, and I don't know, he felt threatened by his own sense of wanting to beat that guy's ass and ran off somewhere, I guess. There's a plane passing over. I'm gonna mute for a minute. All right. So this brings me to today, where, you know, I think it was just last night or the night before that young Klippa released a video of his time at C2E2, where he was trying to find this fucking Mark dude, Mark Brooks. God, your name is hard to fucking remember. He was trying to find him and the other people who had, you know, a problem with EVS because he was dressed as Evil Van Sciver. He was cosplaying as Ethan Van Sciver, and he had a roll of bunny stickers, and he was going to give out these bunny stickers. So in this video, now keep in mind, Mark never ran into Riley at this convention. As far as we know, Mark had no idea Riley was at the convention until the video came out that somebody sent to him in his DMs. You know, of Riley giving out bunny stickers at this con. Now, if you watch this video, Riley is very explicitly threatening just to give bunny stickers to people. That's it. His nefarious scheme is, I'm going to come up to you, get a picture with you, say Hail Comicsgate, and give you a bunny sticker. Now, I've been to a lot of cons. I've been approached by a lot of fans at cons. Most of the interactions are at least that awkward. Most of it is, at the very least, somebody coming up to you who looks strange, who talks funny, who, you know, wants you to fucking sign or have some bizarre piece of memorabilia, and thinks that you're either the coolest or worst person in the world. Either way, they thought you were notable to come see you, and they'll probably fucking spend money on you. Knowing Riley, he probably would have bought the motherfucker's comics. To me, that's nothing but pure profit. You could so easily use that marketing opportunity of, like, you showed up in someone's video, you know, you could easily spin that as a positive. This guy watches this video, and his take is, if I ever see this psychopathic clout chaser at any convention, I'm having him removed. So, in response to the threat of having a bunny sticker placed on his desk and being told, Hail Comicsgate, this man is threatening to have Riley banned from conventions entirely. Now, may I remind you, Riley paid for 4 tickets to C2E2 so that we could all meet EVS. And EVS got banned from this con. So this man, I mean, if he had gotten him banned before we had those tickets, there's no way we would have gone to this convention. We pretty much only went on the off chance he would be there, and he wasn't even there. So completely robbed by this guy already. He basically robbed our whole vacation. And he's only now giving it back to us by by starting shit and being a psycho, being a arrogant, psychotic, fucking. I wasn't even paying attention to who this guy was at the con. I didn't care. I was like, oh, Riley's gonna go put a bunny sticker on someone's desk, whatever. You know, that's what he does. And somehow this led to this guy deciding that he needs Riley's real name, his full name. And he's going around badgering Vito on Twitter about getting Riley's full name. And he's like, you've worked with him. Isn't he like a producer for you? That means you can get his full name. And Vito's like, I've never actually worked directly with Riley. I literally don't know his full name. I just know him as Riley. And then he's like, well, you can get his full name, right? Because if you can't, that means you're supporting this violent, psychotic behavior. And it's like, what, the bunny stickers? And Vito's like, what do you fucking want me to do? Like, what am I supposed to go ask Riley nicely for his full name? Like, what strings do you think I'm supposed to pull? Bitch, if you can figure out his name as easily as I can. So he did. He figured out his name because it's, you know, public. It's not hidden. It's very easy to come by information, which is why it was so funny that that interaction happened at all, that he had to bother Vito about it 7 times before just fucking looking it up. It's not like Riley talks about being descended from Tom Mix constantly or anything. Anyway, Trixie is going to have a Comicsgate book. Will you give it a fair chance or dismiss Trixie for your hatred of Comicsgate? That's a good question. I mean, you know, Comicsgate is basically just a label given to live streams so that those live streams will get more views. Like, it has exactly that much meaning. It's a branding name used by a group of people who stands for their opposition to mainstream comic books being woke and gay, which they are, and they do suck. Like, the woke and gay comics suck. There's great woke and gay shit being made in the world. It's not being made at Marvel or DC, where the problems are arising, where guys like Mark Brooks have a job, you know. Marvel and DC are doing nothing of value for the woke community. I would know. I'm in the woke community. So, you know, I really do believe having a side is just dumb. So, as far as I'm concerned, this is all work relationships. And when people start getting weird and personal about shit and they can't keep the work part of it funny, and they try to morally grandstand about it like they're holier than thou because they, I don't know what ground this guy has to stand on. He literally threatened EVS with violence if he saw him at a convention, and somehow EVS got banned. And then Riley said he was going to put a bunny sticker on his desk, and the guy said Riley should be kicked from a con on site. So I don't know where this guy gets off, other than he thinks that being mainstream means that he's like a protected species and everyone else has to stay away. There's a lot more marshland in this little forest than I was expecting. This is supposed to connect a playground to a graveyard. I was hoping to go to the graveyard, but I don't think I can get there through here. There's too much goddamn swamp. Yeah, this guy seems really crazy, and I haven't even gotten to the worst part for myself yet. The part that really ushered me into making a whole fucking live stream about this. Because I was just mad that he was threatening to kick Riley out of conventions, because quite frankly, Riley's the one who usually gets me into conventions. He's usually the one who pays for me to go. He's usually the one who gets me into the after party. He's usually the one who introduces me to all of the important people. He's usually the one who told me who those people were in the first place. So if Riley gets banned from conventions, that's not good for me. That's a way bigger injury to trans culture than this guy could possibly understand. And don't think for a minute that Riley and Mint are not trans culture. They definitely are. So as far as I'm concerned, and you know, me and Bird obviously, so that's four members of the trans community that would be essentially barred from conventions by this guy not wanting a bunny sticker on his desk. So as far as I'm concerned, that's really offensive. So Riley's trans black, exactly. So I said to him, after seeing him dig up Riley's name and then bizarrely reposting pictures from trolls of like Riley as like a 16-year-old or something, like trying to make fun of him being a teenager at one point, I guess. Like, it was really weird. It was very petty, very like childish high school kind of bullying mentality. And so I saw him like, you know, just doxing Riley openly on the basis that this guy was going to put a bunny sticker on my desk. I need to make sure that everyone knows his real name so I can get him banned from cons more easily. Like, this is psychotic fucking behavior. So I looked at that and I said, hey, if you mess with my friend, you better make sure you learn my real name too. Now, I thought this was a very funny way to, like, pose a threat to somebody, you know? Like, whatever you're worried Riley's gonna do to you, be just as worried that I'm going to do that to you. That's what I meant by this. And then the response I got was, okay, Conrad. Now, this perplexed me because I was pretty sure this guy was coming from the position of being like a socially correct ally. I really wasn't expecting to get dead named, especially considering I have a trans flag in my name on Twitter, so it's very clear that I'm a part of that community. But this person was just so full of rage that they just unthinkingly went immediately. They're just like, who's this person? They're connected to these people that I'm trying to fuck with. Well, I'm gonna fuck with them too. What's their real name? Go blah, 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 blah. My real name is easily fucking available online. Everybody knows my real name. I have a song with my real name in it. I wasn't the point of my tweet wasn't, oh, nobody knows my real name either, so you better sleuth me out. No, it was, you better know my motherfucking name because I'm not forgetting yours. That's why I'm working so hard to commit it to memory, even though it's the most forgettable name. Mark Brooks. Mark Brooks. He's not Matt Barr. Matt Barr's the gay one. Mark Brooks is the dickless one. There's an important difference. Matt Barr's the gay one, Mark Brooks is dickless. Matt Barr's the gay one, Mark Brooks is dickless. Okay, I think that mnemonic will help me out. Guys like Mark Brooks put pronouns in their bios and Google the Kiwi Farms threads of those who disagree with him about things to dead name them. Lol. Yeah, well, I literally think he just looked right past the trans flag, didn't even think about it. I think he went straight to Kiwi Farms because the next post, because I, of course, immediately said, like, wow, this person's dead naming me, even though they were part of trying to get EVS kicked from this con on the basis of supposedly transphobic comments. This does not compute. I'm confused, you know. I tweeted about this, and he says, well, what name would you prefer? Collins? Digibro? Digibrony? Now, I know my Kiwi Farms thread well enough to know that it lists all of those names in that order, so that's why I responded, what are you, a Kiwi farmer? You're gross. Seek psychological help. And I really mean that because Kiwi farmers, you know, my cousin, Kiwi farmer, just lit himself on fire and died 2 weeks ago. So if you're someone who uses Kiwi Farms in any way, shape, or form, I really do highly suggest that you seek mental help before you kill yourself. You know, this guy seems violent. He seems a little out of control. He definitely seems like the type of person who would kill himself, especially after all the shame he's going to feel for all the dumb fuck-ups he made today. You know, I've been known to bully people pretty hard. So if you don't think you can take this, I do recommend you log off, maybe stop being a public figure, maybe reconsider all your life decisions, you know, like think about what kind of person you are. How did you get mixed up in this? How did a little trans girl from Virginia end up doing a whole live stream about what a piece of shit you are and hound you for the rest of your life about it? Figure that out quick, because you need to fix that aspect of your life. He thinks about the trans flag more than you do. He just thinks he'd get away with it. Your tweet graped him. Well, you know, I just was blown away that he thought that was the right tactic. And then he immediately apologized and ran away. So, I don't know how to take that. It's like, well, wait, hold on. You're ignoring the problem. I'm not, he said something like, you know, sorry, I didn't mean to offend you. I hope your day gets better. You know, after I told him, like, you should block me right now. Like, I literally said, you should probably block me right now, because I was just getting angry. I was trying to decide, like, at first I thought about blocking him because I was like, do I really want this dumb motherfucker coming after me? And then I thought, well, he's so dumb, he's gonna cause problems for me just by existing in the same space as me. Like, once I realized he had already caused problems for me because he already was partly responsible for, you know, for the state of my vacation, then I got really upset. And yet he deleted the tweet where he said my first name, but he didn't delete the tweet where he then said my last name and my former internet usernames. You know, apologized and ran away. But again, this doesn't address my concern. Is he still working to try to get Riley banned from conventions? You know, he didn't delete any of the tweets where he retweeted photos of Riley or posted his real name or said that he was going to get him banned on the basis of putting bunny stickers on his desk. And I need to remind everyone, because if it seems like I'm omitting information about Riley, like, this guy, his basis for thinking Riley is such a monster is he said that Riley had pictures of himself with a gun, like, on the internet somewhere. Like, Riley has had pictures where he has a gun. So therefore he's a threat. I don't even know what he's fucking talking about, because Riley, I've seen Riley around 25 people handling guns and not touch a gun. He doesn't care about guns. He's not interested in guns. I don't know what gun picture this guy is talking about. I'm sure it's probably a toy gun. Seems more likely, considering it's an internet fucking personality. Wait, my cousin what? Yeah, my cousin Evan, Kiwi Farms user, and Chris Chan Medallion owner, we have now found out. If you're not keeping up with my Twitter, people, it's been a wild place this last couple of weeks. I haven't gotten into this really in video form because I don't want to say too much while my family is still grieving, but yes, my cousin did literally light himself on fire and spend about 12 hours dying in the hospital. Anyway, I'm gonna stop thinking about that mental image and go back to talking about this Mark Brooks fellow who decided that while I'm in the middle of going through all that, which he knows nothing about because he didn't investigate me, he would just dead name me and threaten my friends all day. I wish people would realize that as much anger as they put into their tweets and their vitriol will be reflected back at them, possibly 1,000-fold. I mean, I know I'm playing with fire. I know that because I wrote a song called Burning Down the Barns at the Karen Farms, and then my cousin, who's a Kiwi Farms user, literally burned himself down. Regardless of whether there's any kind of correlation or whatever there, I cannot unthink about the energy cycle there. So I need to make it clear to this Mark Brooks guy, you know, you've put out an energy towards me that I am inclined to double back with in tremendous force until you actively do something to prove to me that I don't have to worry about you anymore. Like, I need to know that me and my friends aren't banned from conventions you're going to because you're afraid of bunny stickers before I can let down the fact that you threaten people on the internet, you dead name people, you're doxing, and you just generally come off as a real piece of shit. And, you know, I don't really need any kind of backing or like people to rally behind me. I'll just keep hating. Like, everybody else could be like done with it. They could be like, I don't care. This is boring. This guy means nothing to me. He's a nobody. He's a peon. Why would you even bother? And the answer is, I don't have much to do. I'm bored enough, crazy enough. You know, Riley is my friend. Sort of him and Mint are sort of mentees of mine, so I'm always gonna be sticking up for them. You know, so until I'm sure that we're all good, I don't know how I'm supposed to shut up about a guy who won't stop fucking with my people, you know? No matter how much smoke he doesn't want because he realizes that it was a mistake. It's like, well, sure, but you have to make up for your mistake. You can't just make a mistake and then run off and be like, oh, whoops, sorry. You know? It's like, well, okay, but are we still banned from cons? You know? Are we still worried that you're going to start fights with people who have who say the word Comicsgate in front of you because you fucking can't control your emotions at all? You know, are you going to keep being around? Quite frankly, you seem like a creep, and your presence disturbs me at a convention. Like, it makes me think that I am in more danger, that this guy is around. EVS has never put off a threatening aura. He's never, you know, threatened to beat anybody up on sight. He's made it very clear, once again, he would literally work with anybody. You know, he's a soft married guy with kids who wants no real trouble. He just uses drama as a way to make money on the internet. And meanwhile, this guy is literally saying, I will beat you up if I see you, so you can't come to conventions. Just make it make sense. Anyway, that's pretty much all I've got to say about that dude. That was about 45 minutes of ranting. If anybody wants to talk to me about anything else while we're out here in the woods, send along a super chat. I'll give a good clean rant. I'm very much enjoying this weird spot I found myself in. I'll turn the camera around so you can kind of get a view of this. I'm basically like just in a creek, like a woods surrounding this little shit creek. There's like a little river over there, kind of. Baby river. A little bit too much water for me to cross to get to the graveyard I was going to film this in. But honestly, I like this little pocket so much because I knew nobody would come here that I couldn't help myself but to pace around it. Mark Brooks. Matt Barr is the gay one. Mark Brooks is the dickless one. Matt Barr is the gay one. Mark Brooks is the dickless one. You gotta remember these things. And you gotta figure out who you've started conflict with. Matt Barr, I guess I could mention him as well. It's just like another comic artist who just started a whole bunch of drama with Mint Salad for literally no reason. I don't really understand what that guy's deal is. ASC Presents with $5. Rant about why the weather never matches the fit mood. It's hot out when I want to wear a heavier jacket, and I hate jackets in the cold. I don't know if you relate. Yeah, it's like 60 degrees and cloudy here today, which is not at all what I was expecting. I had a totally different fit on until I opened up the window and felt the breeze come in, and I was like, oh, it's cold today. I was gonna be out here in like jean shorts and a fucking like a tank top, because yesterday I was out here dying. Anybody who saw my live stream yesterday, fucking it was probably like 80 degrees. I walked for nearly 2 hours. No, I walked over 2 hours to and from the beach, and when I was on the way back, I had to end the stream because I had to shit so badly. I thought I was dying, and I still had like 20 minutes left of walking after that. It was the most painful thing in the world. I'm very proud of myself for not shitting myself. I made it to the toilet, but I was haunted. It was very painful. I thought I was gonna puke. I thought I was gonna go back up through my body and come out as vomit. So yeah, that sucked. And yesterday I was wearing like short shorts, a sports bra, and like a shirt that the wind could go through, but the sports bra was too thick, so I was getting like fucking baked by the the undershirt. So I was totally expecting it to be like that again today, and then I come out and it's fucking cold. So now I'm in jeans, a long sleeve, a scarf, a hat. It probably looks warmer than it is because I'm out in a green verdant forest where it looks like spring, but it is actually overcast, windy, and cold. You can probably hear the wind, unfortunately. Your cousin who unalived himself is tragic, but I can't help but think his mother is at least a little responsible for being unable to prepare her child to deal with life. Yeah, like I said, I don't want to get into that kind of conversation while we're still at the morning table, but um, yeah, she's a hard person to be around, so that's all I'll say on that for now. All right, $5 super chat from Snowman8. I was diagnosed with bipolar 1. During my manic phase, I had ideas that backfired and destroyed things I had built for years. Any advice on rebuilding? Man, that's really difficult, and I understand where you're coming from because I know a lot of people who make big mistakes with their manic, and I think it's going to be hard to repair relationships with a lot of people who just don't have that kind of forgiveness. Like, I don't know, the people that I'm around, I mean, if you've been watching Riley and Mint's live streams, you know that there are manic episodes that happen in my group of friends, and I want to work through it because I like them as people and I want to be around them. So for me, it's like if I was in the same boat, I don't have that level of mania where like I don't fly off the handle out of control. I will instead just bury myself. Like I'm more likely to fuck off, get quiet, swallow all my feelings, and seethe, you know? And so people usually, they can't tell when there's a storm going on in my mind because I kind of wait for it to blow over before I start talking again. So, you know, that's a defense mechanism I have. But, you know, when other people explode in their emotions, because I understand what's happening, I can look at that and I know what they're saying isn't necessarily real. Like, it might be couched in real feelings, but I also know that they don't mean it that way. Like, they're out of control of their feelings. They're not able to say what they would be saying if they were in control, you know? And they wouldn't want the consequences of what they're saying to be acted upon because they're talking out of instinct, you know? And I've seen this happen to lots of people. So, like, I think it can be difficult if that person is hung up in the guilt. Like, if you are blaming yourself for the stuff that you said and you're not looking at it like, you know, this was my mania speaking, like this is something manageable, this is something I disagree with, you know, like if you're kind of hung up on what happened, it probably makes it difficult as well. Whereas if you can kind of, well, you know, I guess it really depends on the other person's forgiveness a lot, you know, it depends on how you can communicate to them, like, that you're sorry, but also, like, it wasn't, like, you never wanted, like, you know, you weren't trying to say what you said. But I don't know if everybody will always be okay with that, you know? Some stuff just kind of blows over, some stuff doesn't. I've had a lot more friendships end than friendships that reunited, and, you know, I've spent my whole life moving, so, like, aside from my immediate family, there's not really a lot of people that I've had the level of relationship with where if we get into, like, some serious fights, we're going to find a way to work through it because we are family. And even then, I don't really fight with my family at this point in my life, you know? I mean, I'm pretty close to my parents. I don't get into fights with them, but it's also just that I let lots of shit slide, you know? I'm not trying to get into a fight with my parents. So if my mom says something a little bit annoying, I'm just gonna be like, whatever, you know? I don't care. What am I gonna get into an argument about, you know? So, like, that mentality helps me a lot. The fact that I'm just a chill person, but, like, you know, at the same time, there are lots of people in my life who I'm like, maybe I'd be able to hang out with this person again and it would be chill, but I don't know if I just don't think it's natural to try to make something happen again that's already passed, you know? Like, if that person valued having me back in their life, they would be trying to make it happen. And there are people who've done that, you know? There's people who, even if I maybe haven't talked to them for years, or maybe we, you know, weren't necessarily close, but then we become closer, you know, but it takes a level of organic happening where like both of you want to be friends again, you know? I don't even know what kind of relationship you're talking about, so I'm kind of projecting onto that, but hopefully that kind of answered your question. ASC Presents with $5 says, Cecil Malin EVS in chat watched the Ralph fight last night on the Jack show and EVS was familiar with and loved that video. I am shameless. Hail Comic Skate. That's fun. That is very fun. It's a great fucking video, I must say. Regardless of whatever whatever the content of it is or what it means for the people involved, it is a great piece of content. That is for sure. Do you think the reason why a lot of woke comics fail is because the creators care more about the message over making entertaining story and art? Yes, absolutely. And just speaking personally, so like the comic that I wrote for Mint is pretty much a direct antithesis to what I was seeing EVS criticize in these shitty DC and Marvel books, where he has some videos where he breaks down books, and he's more so coming at it on just like the why it fails in a storytelling sense, why it fails in an artistic sense. But like, I was honestly blown away by, in particular with this one Teen Titans comic, by how gay it was. And by that I don't mean like the characters are gay or they're talking about gay stuff, just like the energy of it. Like the dialogue was just incredibly boring, but like every image there's like a guy with his dick forward, you know? It just had like this, it had like a BL almost energy to the art and then no energy to the storytelling. So like what it read to me as is like somebody who is a manga fan, like a Japanese boys love fan, like drawing comic book art about characters they just don't know enough about or care enough about to make interesting stories about, and they're just trying to write like slice of life teen drama, you know, using surface level details of like the Teen Titans. So like just all that sucks. You know, watching all of it, I was like, wow, these comics are really bad. And my thought was like, well, I'm a trans woman. If I want to reach other trans women, I would not make a pen and paper comic book. That's just not what I would do. You know, like trans women, by and large, the ones I know, don't read pen and paper comic books. They have no interest in it. They might read manga. You know, young girls definitely read manga, definitely don't care about comic book culture. Except for insofar as like really young girls have seen these Marvel movies with their parents, you know? But like, all of that is nested in comic book geeks who cared about this stuff at some point in their youth, and then it keeps returning to them and they keep caring about it. And so like it's inevitably an aging demographic, and you know, there's always going to be new media that some of it could be made successfully using these old characters and maybe draw new people in, like the Marvel Cinematic Universe did. But like, when you get to the bedrock of like reading source material, you know, I guess what I'm trying to say is that pen and paper comics don't necessarily have a reason to exist other than that people are nostalgic for them and just like the format, you know? Like web comics have transformed format to such an extent that if you don't really care about pen and paper comics because of nostalgia, and you just grew up with web comics, you would find pen and paper comics probably really limiting and bizarre, you know, like as a medium to continue operating in post like Homestuck or something, you know? And so to like constantly be trying to bring young new people into like reading this old medium instead of just marketing to the people who are already fans, you know, like if you get those old fans to like your new thing and then they like it so much that maybe their kids end up liking it too, then you've created a new generation of fans for pen and paper comics. But like that has to be rooted in appealing to fans of pen and paper comics. You cannot just create out of the ether new fans of an old media form, you know? So like to me, getting involved in pen and paper comics just because of the fact that like I'm friends with an artist who has an in, and you know, it's something I can do because I'm a writer and I want to test my fiction skills. I happen to be pretty good at storyboarding and I've really wanted to explore those skills. So Like for me, it's an opportunity to say, like, ah, let's see how I can do as a comic book storyboarder, because now I've got some opportunities in front of me to work on that. And from a marketing perspective, my goal is not tell my story as a trans woman. It's write a comic book that the comic book fans are going to like. So I wrote the straightest fucking story I could imagine. It's full of giant tits. It's full of big action. It's full of sci-fi spectacle. It's full of lore and world building. It's full of giant monsters. It's full of the American dream and the rot from within that has been given to it by, the disastrous control of the super entities that hold the reins of it. So, my comic, it's woke in the traditional sense that it's intelligent and understands what's happening in the world, but it is not woke in the sense of being like really gay for no reason when the people who are going to read it are not going to be gay. Some of them will be. I mean, especially if they're my fans. I will probably bring a gay contingent to this comic. It's more likely to be a lesbian contingent because most of the characters have gigantic breasts. So, if gays like the comic, it's going to be the girl gays, more likely than the guy gays. But I think the girl gays and the straight guys can all bond on the giant tits. So that's my marketing pitch for Prickly. It's a gay person's attempt to make the straightest comic possible, in just to show all of these dumbasses that ideology is not what sells a comic. Making a good comic that comic readers want to read is what will save the comic book industry and potentially create new comic book fans. But if you want to write gay stories for little girls, like, go write webcomics, go publish fucking Korean webtoons or some shit. Like, there's no reason to turn practically the straightest, malest industry into something it's not, and kick all the veterans out of it who actually know how to tell good stories that people would want to read out of it. It just doesn't make any sense. Yeah, Riley's read all the comics that I haven't read, which is all of them. I've read a few comics, but probably more than I'm letting on. But it's the kind of thing where the more you know you don't know. So I know comics just well enough to know that I really don't know comics. But I've heard a lot of videos and analysis over the years. I learned a lot. I would honestly say my foundation of understanding of comics comes from fucking Movie Bob, who used to do comic book segments on his various he had a show called The Big Picture where he just talks about general media trends and stuff. And he would talk about comics, and he would go, "Comics are weird," and then talk about a bunch of weird lore. Snowman 8 with $2. Give a motivational rant on goals the Trixie way. Never ignorant, getting goals accomplished. That's the way to live your life. You really got to go for it. Go for the gold. Never give up. Keep on striving. Always strive and prosper. Like you said, do it the Trixie way, and I'm quoting other people nonstop. I guess that is the Trixie way. Yeah, when it comes to goals, I think they're an important thing to have, because it's easy to just kind of waffle around and lose track of happiness if you don't have any specific goals in mind. You gotta kind of, right now, my goal is I want to have enough money to pay off my debts and afford a place. Me and Bird want to have our own place. I'm living at home with my parents and my granddad, and it's not a bad environment. I could lazily just enjoy living with my parents, but it doesn't make me feel like you know, it doesn't make me feel like I'm striving towards anything. If I'm just enjoying, being at home, it's like I gotta have some kind of goal. I gotta have some reason to compel me to action. So that goal of wanting to make more money, it gets me out. It gets me to the forest to go record some live streams. And like, uh, I love going on walks. I love walking around, but I don't normally feel compelled to do it if I don't have like a strong reason. So I've done way more walking in the last few days because I do live streams. So it all feeds into that original goal. The goal of make more money leads to do something interesting that makes money, and then that leads to, well, I would have a fun time going out for a walk. Maybe everyone else will have a fun time going out for a walk, with me. I would make my walk more fun if I was ranting the entire time, especially about personal drama. That would make this an excellent walk. Obviously I've just kind of been pacing around in a circle for this live stream, but that's because I walked too hard the last two streams. I ended my last two streams with my legs feeling like fucking rubber. It was brutal. I don't know how long I'm going to keep this stream going for. I pretty much got everything I had to say about that guy off my chest. I think Bird is probably home by now. I know he got off work. I saw him in the chat earlier, so I know he's at least on his way home. And I want to hang out with Bird. Tell him about all this drama that he missed out on today if he didn't already catch up, and commiserate about the miserable state of these people on the internet trying to start shit, running away when they realize that they shouldn't have started shit, made a huge mistake. Look, I cut my hand. I don't know when I cut it on a thorn, I guess, and I went through the thicket earlier. Alright, chat. Tell me something. Tell me a fact. Tell me a thing, or I'm ending this right now. Personally, I feel like the rainies in comics aren't as fun as manga is because nothing in comic matters. A big change in a character after a couple years gets undone. Well, that's only if you're talking about like the mainstream, which a problem I have with comics is that almost everybody just reads the same shit. Like they're all reading fucking Batman, and so like when I tried to get into DC Comics, my favorite immediately was Batwoman, the J.H. Williams III run, and like no one read it, nobody talked about it. I could not find anybody talking about it online or offline at the time. So it was like, well, shit, I want to get involved in this, but it's just a little too centralized. And I think that's just a problem with comics media. It's a problem with people like what they're familiar with, and they're lazy, and not enough people are willing to investigate. But I think that stuff like Comicsgate, the reason why it's important is that it does draw attention to indies. That like Cyberfrog is, at a level of IP where it's appearing on fucking NASCAR cars because people recognize the character. And that is just entirely the push of EVS really trying to compete with the mainstream on that aspect that they just have locked down from having these characters for so fucking long, But if it's new comics, things can happen, I've read plenty of, for some popular ones, like, I know this is as much of chick shit as manga is, but Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, or Seconds, or Snot Girl by Brian Lee O'Malley, all great comics that, like, they end. They tell a story, and it's over. You can consume it like an anime. Thoughts on Jesse Moynihan's forming? Never heard of that. No idea what you're talking about. Do I agree with the notion of hyper individuality in Western society? That's more of a rant topic. You gotta make super chats. You gotta super chat me for that kind of topic. If you want me to go on like a whole thing. Humans aren't designed to be satisfied. We need a goal to work towards, and when we reach that goal, we never experience the euphoria that we think we will. That's true, but you just always have to have a new goal. Like, it's the pursuit. If pursuing the goal is fun, then that is the satisfaction in life. But if there's no goal in the first place, then there's no pursuit to have fun with. Like, You just got to keep giving yourself goals that are fun to pursue. Like right now, my goal is make super chat money, and it's fun to pursue until I get tired of standing in the woods, at which point I will go change my goal. My goal will probably become getting a peanut butter and jelly sandwich or lunch or something, and then and then I'll have fun accomplishing that goal. And then my next goal will actually be recording the next Manga Monday episode, because I just read all the manga I'm gonna read for that, or cover for that. So anyways, if you need more live streaming after this is over, I believe that Clipperverse is gonna do a stream soon, also going over probably some of this drama. I would join that, but I can't really do a good mic setup right now, and I'm hungry. So yeah, go check out the Clipperverse stream after this if you need more Comicscape drama. This is really more for the VOD. This is really more to be out there as a video for people to remember that this happened, because I know this guy is just going to want to sweep this under the rug, and most people are not going to care about this drama at all. They're just going to say this is a nothing burger, who gives a fuck. But as far as I'm concerned, this is my fight to keep me and my friends at conventions that we want to go to, and the creators that we are trying to meet at those conventions that we've already bought tickets for. And this guy is he is personally standing in the way of that and acting like a violent psychopath with behavior that I cannot believe he can get away with, and purport to be the good guy on any front. So that's mostly what this stream is about. Jesse Moynihan was the art director for Midnight Gospel. Foreman goes over the same psychedelic look. Well, maybe I'll check that out. Have I seen Science Saru's Scott Pilgrim? I think I watched half of it. I'd give you my opinions, but again, that's more of a rant. Alright, I'm tired of being in the woods. I'm wrapping up the stream, y'all. I'm getting out of here. It's a little too overcast and cold, swampy, and I've lost the fire that I had, the anger that I had that I came into the stream with, because I just keep forgetting that guy's name. If he was more memorable, I'd be more angry, but like, how angry could I really be? Somebody who's so unmemorable. That's why I think it's going to be hard for people to even care. They're going to watch it and they're going to go like, I don't even remember who that guy was that you were arguing with on YouTube that time. Oh, I've emerged back out of the woods into this park. I thought this park would lead to a graveyard, but I was wrong. Okay, everybody. Goodbye.